I was just a regular working class kid going to the local comprehensive school. And then completely unexpectedly overnight, I lost my sight.
What personal qualities are needed to succeed as a Paralympic swimmer?
I think to succeed as a Paralympic swimmer, you need certainly to be able to take a lot of hard work, 5 hours training every day for 17 years, resilience for sure, determination, and crucially being able to put yourself out there. There's no guarantee of success. When I started the mission, there was no sense I'd even qualify for the games, never mind make a podium position. So really being prepared to put yourself out there, set a course and stick to it. And crucially, it's not about really what you do at the games in those few seconds of the race. It's what you do in the weeks, months and years in the build up to that one moment in time.
What can businesses learn from a Paralympian's experience of high performance?
I think there are so many lessons for business from Paralympic high performance sport in terms of organisation, in terms of prioritisation, in terms of really drilling down to what matters. When I was training and competing, I had a very simple maxim, which I applied to everything. Will it make me swim faster? If it will, I would do it. If it wouldn't, why would I? And that was for everything in life, not just what I was doing in the pool. Every single thing, will it make me swim faster? And having those acid tests, I think, is really important because we're all bombarded with so much data, so much content, so much stuff these days, just as it was when I was training. The key is to find that golden path through it and have that absolute mission statement, that acid test, and stick to it right the way through.
As a diversity and inclusion advocate, what advice do you have for businesses wanting to create a more inclusive culture?
When it comes to diversity and inclusion, it's a pretty simple message. Just do it. Do it for legal reasons, for sure, but do it because it will make better organisations, broader organisations, richer organisations in every possible element. Crucially, lead on it. When it comes to it, what's diversity and inclusion about? It's leadership and it's culture, and it's really thinking through how you can bring that to life and do it every day and ensure that your organisation is true to that, is inclusive by design, and every beat point, every element, every interaction within that organisation rings true to a truly inclusive, truly diverse culture, truly inclusive, truly diverse organisation.
You talk about being the leader of my own life. Could you elaborate on this speaking topic?
Leader of my own life is a really popular speaking topic, and it came to me very early in life when I was just a regular working class kid going to the local comprehensive school, and then completely unexpectedly overnight I lost my sight. I wasn't expected. I could never have imagined that. But in the midst of all of that trauma, all of that chaos, all of that confusion, it seemed pretty clear to me that I had to get so many people around me to help. Family, friends, teachers, swim coaches, everybody I could get to help me. And it became clear. I couldn't have expressed it in such clear terms at that time, but pretty soon afterwards, it was absolutely crystal to me that I had to be the leader of my own life. Crucially, the leader of my own life, if I wanted to achieve the 3 goals that I had as a young kid then, to try and do A-levels, to try and get to university, and to try and represent Great Britain at sport, I could only potentially achieve 1, 2, maybe all 3 of them if I was the leader of my own life.
What do you hope audiences take away from your public speeches?
What I hope audiences take away from my presentations is a sense of practical, realistic and achievable pointers, suggestions, thoughts, ideas that they can take into their world. I write all of my presentations from scratch. So each presentation, each speech is unique because I want to make it as tailored, as connected to that organization, that business, as I can possibly make it, to make it as relevant, as absolutely connected to their purpose, what they're trying to achieve, and through that really giving elements within it that they can take away and reflect upon and determine whether that can work within their organization, whether it can be adapted and fitted in with their mission, their endeavors, but really wanting to make it as connective, as practical, as real, as authentic as I possibly can.
You are a member of the Science, Technology Select Committee in the House of Lords, and also members of the groups on AI and blockchain. What started your interest in technology?
I've always had a deep interest in technology and what purpose it can be put to, right since when I was 12 and I got a ZX Spectrum, which ages me. And it'll be interesting to see how many people remember the ZX Spectrum. It was a great little computer, really good. And we obviously all told our parents that we wanted these computers so we could do programming. And we did a little bit of programming, but they were also fabulous, fabulous games machines. But moving from that, when I lost my sight at 14, technology was a key thing that helped me through. I didn't know the term accessible technology, assistive technology, but that's certainly what I had in a very, very basic laptop with very, very basic speech software on it. So I taught myself to touch type so I could put the information in the usual way. And then that converted what was on screen into speech and just wore a little headphone to get that. There was nothing miraculous about this technology, and nor did it need to be, and nor does any technology need to be. It needs to be sufficient, purposed and enabling, and it was then, and it's continued to be. So when moving into Parliament, I was very interested in setting up a number of groups. I helped to set up the group on artificial intelligence. I set up the group on fintech, as you mentioned, also blockchain. I'm currently a member of the Science and Technology Committee, and for me, it's how we deploy these new technologies, these fabulously powerful new technologies, AI, distributed ledgers, and so on. But crucially, how we conceive of them as tools, incredibly powerful, potentially transformational, but tools in our human hands. And we have to lead as humans with these new technologies to drive public good, common good, yes, private good as well. But if we get this right, that beautiful connection of human and technology, human-led technology, could solve so many of the problems that have dogged us as a civilization for decades. And yes, drive growth, yes, drive leveling up, and crucially make a difference to all of us. But it's potential, it's not inevitability. I believe we all have to work hard to make it as much of an inevitability for the good as we possibly can.
You say technology and inclusion are the golden threads that run through everything you do. Can you explain what you mean by that?
I think technology and inclusion are the golden threads, the sense of they're not verticals. And I think all too often in any environment, people can understandably fall into the trap of thinking technology is just another vertical. So say they're in a particular part of an organization, they'll be well aware that there's technology, but they'll see it as a vertical and think that that's for the technology department, that's for the CTO to be responsible for. But the reality is, technology is all of our business, be we parliamentarians, business people, citizens, individuals. It's all of our business, and we need to have much more of a connection to it, much more of a public debate around all of the potential uses, the potential dangers, of course, and the potential benefits of all of these new technologies. Because if we get it right, inclusion is not only the enabler, the empowerer, the emancipator of individuals, but inclusion is the driver of innovation, the driver of technology, because these technologies are neutral, really. Some people say they're not, but they are. They're neutral until we lay our human hands upon them, and we need to ensure we lay our human hands upon them for the good. And there you have, running through it all, that beautiful golden threads: inclusion and innovation, talent and technology.
You have experience of transitioning organisations and workforces into the digital era. What does this take?
I think one of the greatest challenges facing all organisations, private businesses, public institutions, parliaments, is how we transition into the digital space, how we do it effectively, how we manage that transition, and how we ensure that we don't, if you will, cannibalise or do in the analogue, to describe it as such. As Deputy Chair, a broadcasting organisation, we're in the midst of a huge digital transition, and it's absolutely fascinating because for all organisations, this hasn't been done before, and it's really to understand the methodology, the approach, how to deploy the specific technologies. Fabulously though, as ever, it comes back to leadership, it comes back to culture, and crucially a key part of that is how we drive decision making in organisations. Yes, to the lowest levels, yes, driving subsidiarity, but crucially conceiving of decisions as inclusive process, not a moment in time, but everything that goes into decisions and how they're made within organisations. I think if we can have decisions as inclusive process, that is one of the most powerful means of ensuring that we can transition to the digital world, be it in broadcasting, be it in Parliament, be it in financial services, in the most inclusive, effective, economic, social, psychologically positive way.
You have spoken a great deal on ESG. What are some of the key messages here?
ESG is such a critical area. In many ways, it's the critical area. It's much talked about, far more talked about than delivered upon. For me, it's critical that it's understood in terms of E, S, and G. All too often, and understandably, the E, the environmental, is understood and focused upon. And of course, I mean, it's absolutely critical, but the social and the governance, just as important. I saw this when we ran the Mission 2012 programme in sport, and we did this because in 1996, Britain came 36th at the Olympic Games, 1 gold medal. Through Mission 2012, through taking a system-wide approach and looking at all of these factors, we took that 36th place in 1996, we took the team to 3rd place in London 2012, we took them to 2nd place in Rio 2016. Similarly, in other contexts, with financial services organisations, with pharmaceuticals and other organisations I've worked with and spoken for, really looking at the environmental, the social, the governance together, and how these become threaded, not just through the organisation, but how we use the power to drive this through supply chain, connecting B2B, connecting to customers, how we're constantly amplifying the effect that we can have here. And for me, it comes down to this: ESG, existential, seismic, global.